Multiple wildfires raging out of control tonight, fueled by hurricane-force winds. The fire in the Pacific Palisades, now the most destructive in the city's history.
The power has been cut off, but the night is still bright on the drought-stricken tinder-dry hills around Los Angeles. The people have gone. Mandatory evacuation.
It's like Armageddon. When you can see the flames coming up over the houses and you're just getting out of the driveway and the smoke and the ash is so thick, I'm surprised all of us got out of there without burning up ourselves.
The luxurious coastal housing of Pacific Palisades burned through the night.
We have a line of fire along the Santa Monica Mountains.
Dan, you've seen a few fires. Ever seen anything on this scale in LA?
This is the worst one for me. Worst one I've ever seen.
No question.
No question.
The mailbox survives beyond the address it served. A random child's toy abandoned, apparently in the rush to leave. And along the street, what seemed to be an attempt to stash household goods into a car, anywhere to escape the flames, and then abandoned. An army of fire crews has been here for 3 days and nights now. The prime objective is to save lives first, get the people out. Their properties come very much second.
We want to make sure that everyone gets out of harm's way, and that has been our top priority. So far, we have been successful in that. Then we can begin taking care of property and houses.
Over 1,000 buildings destroyed in this small coastal community alone.
Much of this street's already been destroyed by the fire or is being destroyed right now. But what's happening here is the fire crews are trying to protect an undamaged building next door. It's quite arbitrary. Some houses are untouched. Across the other side of the street here, this house has already gone. The house next door, untouched. And they may do the same to try and save that property. But it's far and few the number of properties and houses where they've got the resources and the people to do that.
For some days, nature has had the upper hand here. Europe has her Mistral and Sirocco seasonal winds. Los Angeles, the Santa Ana. Flames spreading with gales gusting close to hurricane force in recent days, leaving a cruelly arbitrary, random pattern of destruction as the wind changes direction constantly. One family home completely intact, next door an inferno.
People expect a fire to just come like a wall through a town and destroy everything in its path. This isn't like this. It's quite arbitrary, you know?
It's quite a bit more chaotic. It's extremely difficult to predict. It's extremely difficult to contain. The fact is that we're always one step behind these extreme weather events.
Sunrise in this charred place where Pacific Palisades used to be. The irony of fire disaster. Chimneys and fireplaces about the only structures left standing. And it is block after block after block. In a place where 30,000 once lived the cliche of Southern Californian beach affluent. Ground level, the sound of running water in a drought-parched landscape is from burst pipes.
That's pretty much like a hurricane, except instead of rain, we had fire.
Ever experienced anything like that?
Not to this magnitude, and I think this would be, a lot would say that this would probably be the biggest and worst brush fire we've had in LA.
Dave Walters fought flames here for 3 days, but in the end could save only one house in this entire street. And what's becoming a familiar lament here from firefighters, the water in the hydrants just wasn't sufficient.
The only reason why we were able to save the only home on this street was because they had a pool, and we took that water pretty instantly.
The Corpus Christi Church burned out to its skeleton frame.
Leave the politicians to one side. Here in California, on one thing, meteorologists, academics, police and fire department are unanimous. It is the climate crisis which has made this disaster so much worse. Specifically, the droughts, the high summer temperatures and the failure of the autumn rains in November. That meant that when the winter winds, the Santa Ana winds came, they should have been blowing over damp ground. They were blowing over absolutely parched terrain, and this is the result.
Mercifully, the Santa Ana winds will moderate today, and that gives firefighters a chance, a window, with reinforcements coming in statewide and from Oregon and Arizona. But then the winds will strengthen. Some smaller fires are now under control, but in tinder dry drought terrain, the potential for new ignition anywhere, anytime is real, until the rains finally come to this place.
Alex Thompson on the scene in Palisades. Well, a little before we came on air, I spoke to Malibu resident John Turteltaub. He's also a film director, and his credits include Cool Runnings, National Treasure, and The Meg. We reached him on a video call from outside his house, where almost all the surrounding houses had already burnt down. I asked him what was exactly happening at the time.
Well, right now, basically, I'm on Malibu Beach. I'm going to show you, if I can, the street where I live. These are basically the only 4 houses that have not burned on Malibu Beach, and that's not an exaggeration. Here's the most LA thing I can say, but every house in Malibu from here to Nobu is burned.
Nobu, the restaurant?
Yes, they managed, in Malibu style, we managed to save Nobu.
And what about your house? Is your house still standing, or has that been reduced to ashes?
The house is still standing, thanks to neighbors working literally 36 straight hours, and we're not out of the woods yet. All these houses, as you can see, the fire department's here. There's constantly little flare-ups and smolders, and embers come and reignite the fire. I know it's loud here, but I'm going to try to show you, like...
Okay, I can see that destruction, yes. And the destruction that you've just shown us, John, how quick was that? How many hours or days did that take?
Oh, the houses came down very quickly. Probably in a matter of 3-4 hours, 100 houses were gone.
What's it going to be like, John, living in that neighborhood, assuming that your house survives the flames, when all the other houses have just gone?
If the house makes it, I'm not even sure there is a neighborhood to live in. We'll be on a little street with 4 houses, and it'll be the only 4 houses for miles and miles. And I don't know that we will stay, even if we do save the house.
John, you're in the movie business. You're a storyteller. You're living amongst storytellers and, you know, in the factory of people's dreams and nightmares in Hollywood. I mean, what does this do to you as someone who tells stories when the reality is so much more stark and miserable than perhaps most things you could have imagined?
I have to tell you, this fire is worse than anything anyone thought would happen, anything we dreamed up. I don't think the country, the state, the world realizes whatever you're seeing, it's much worse. I don't know. I mean, LA will recover, but this is going to take a huge amount of work and time and money like no one can believe to offset what's happened.
Tell us about, well, what are we looking at right now? Who used to live there?
Okay, right here, this is several homes gone. The people who live in these houses tend to live here for years and years and years. And it's funny, everyone has heard of Malibu Beach and the fabulous beach houses on Malibu Beach. It's some of the most expensive real estate in the world. There is none anymore. It is 100% gone.
John, we're going to have a president in a, well,